As America was gaining independence, the Baltic states were embarking on 200 years of oppression. The sovereignty of this region would be taken away by the Germans, Austrians, and Russians. Sovereignty returned nearly 100 years later in the aftermath of World War I, but peace was interrupted with territory disputes and a Soviet invasion. After the Soviets were barely defeated, the region enjoyed about 15 years of peace. But then the Soviets and Germans agreed to reconquer the area and split it amongst themselves. In a short manner of time, the Soviets and Germans decided to fight each other, using Poland and the Baltic states as a major battleground, at a great cost to civilian life. The Soviets would win the conflict, redrew the borders to their liking, created forced migrations based on ethnic identity, and anyone who protested would be deported to Siberia. The region would endure Soviet occupation and poor economic conditions in the following decades. But in the 1990s, the Soviet Empire collapsed. After nearly 200 years of varying forms of colonization, the Baltic states would be free and independent once again. Old border disputes were ignored in order to build a more prosperous future. With an apologetic Germany, security guarantees from America, and a sense of European unity, all helped the Baltic states enjoy robust economic growth. While peace and prosperity was finally achieved, passivity was not. One of the Baltic states has refused to be submissive on the global stage. While small, they are not silent. Lithuania is a small country with a big heart. While far from the economic prowess of G7 nations, Lithuania has achieved impressive economic gains ever since it was liberated from the chains of communism. While now may be the best time in history to be born in Lithuania, the people haven't forgotten their history.
Russia is a regime which does not know where its border starts and when its border ends. It's a dilemma for Russia, historical dilemma.
Given their past, the Lithuanians don't like bullies who target small neighbors. This very much includes China's oppression of Tibet, Hong Kong, and possibly Taiwan in the future. Immediately after Lithuania was freed from communism, the little Baltic nation had a friendly relationship with the Dalai Lama, the exiled religious leader of Tibetan Buddhism. Despite being so far apart, the Lithuanians and the Tibetans have quite a bit in common. Both groups know what it means to have their religious freedom subverted by communism. To this day, the Dalai Lama is legally forbidden from reincarnating without permission from the Chinese Communist Party. In the 90s, China expressed only mild objections to the friendly ties between the Buddhist leader and Lithuania. But in the spring of 2019, Lithuania decided to host the exiled Tibetan government, a move that would enrage China's Politburo. And little Lithuania found itself on a collision course with the world's newest superpower. Instead of following normal diplomatic protocols, the CCP decided to get personal and strike directly at the Lithuanian identity. The 23rd of August is an important holiday for Lithuania and most Eastern Europeans. Black Ribbon Day is a day of remembrance for all Europeans who fell victim to authoritarian regimes, including Stalinism. For the 2019 Black Ribbon Day, a small group of Lithuanians decided to hold a demonstration of solidarity with the protesters in Hong Kong. Much to their surprise, they were met with physical counter-protesters, composed of Chinese nationals. It seems that the aggressive counter-protesters were largely under the control of the Chinese embassy. Given that flags and banners were being provided from embassy cars, and that the Chinese ambassador watched the whole ordeal unfold from only a few meters away, some Chinese diplomats were involved in the scuffle. But the Lithuanian government decided not to escalate the situation, and opted to address a stern letter to the CCP in hopes of de-escalation. It didn't work. Only a few weeks later, the Chinese embassy held a non-sanctioned celebration of communism in the center of Vilnius, complete with unauthorized street banners. Given Lithuania's history with communism, this action brought up painful memories. But China was not finished with antagonizing the Lithuanian people. They would now target one of Lithuania's holiest sites. The Hill of Crosses is both a sacred and patriotic site for Lithuanians. While the hill has mysterious origins, It proved to be a key location for peaceful resistance during communist occupation. Lithuanians would make pilgrimages to the hill, leaving crosses and religious symbols. As a way to resist communist oppression, the Soviets attempted to eradicate the hill on multiple occasions, but new crosses would always reappear. Just like the Lithuanian people, the Hill of Crosses survived Russian oppression. In the late 2010s, Lithuanians placed new crosses with pro-Hong Kong slogans, as a sign of solidarity to all those who suffer from communistic imperialism. The act of solidarity would be mocked by Chinese propaganda, inspiring Chinese tourists to take action. Instead of visiting the Hill of Crosses to honor Lithuanian culture, a group of Chinese tourists arrived with the intent of desecration. The tourists searched the hill for any crosses that had pro-Hong Kong messaging, and promptly destroyed them, with one tourist applying graffiti that declared, "Hope all the protester cockroaches soon rest in peace." Once again, the Hill of Crosses was threatened by communists. At this point, both the Lithuanian government and people had lost their patience with China. In the fall of 2021, Lithuania decided to completely ignore Beijing's stance on the island of Taiwan. In a bold move, Lithuania invited Taiwan to open their own diplomatic office in Vilnius. Prior to the opening of the Taiwan office, Beijing was just toying with Lithuania, but now they would bring the wrath.
Tensions between Lithuania and China are also escalating. Vilnius's decision to open an embassy in Taiwan obviously did not go down too well with Beijing. Since then, the Xi Jinping government has threatened with multiple retaliatory actions. In the latest, China says that Lithuania will be swept into the garbage bin of history.
Beijing recalled their diplomats and kicked out all Lithuanian diplomats from the mainland, and this was just the start of the CCP's retaliation. A combination of propaganda and with warrior diplomacy would be unleashed against Lithuania. A barrage of public insults bombarded the little Baltic nation. Things were starting to heat up between the two nations. The Lithuanians soon discovered that Xiaomi cell phones were being used to spy on Lithuanian civilians. Spyware was hidden in a software update to identify and target Lithuanians that use phrases like democracy movement, free Tibet, or Taiwan independence. China was building a list of Lithuanian civilians who used anti-CCP phrases in their messaging. When the plot was discovered, the Lithuanian Defense Ministry recommended that all Lithuanians stop using Chinese phones. Just like Australia, the Lithuanians were seeing their sovereignty threatened by the CCP. But now it was time for China to target the Lithuanian economy. Without any formal declaration, Lithuania saw its name removed from China's customs declaration system, an act that would make it impossible for Lithuanian businesses to clear Chinese ports. In an instant, Lithuania was completely embargoed from the Chinese market. Lucky for Lithuania, their economy isn't too dependent on China. In 2019, China wasn't even a top 5 trading partner of Lithuania, and the Taiwanese did their part to support their Baltic brothers.
More Lithuanian food may be coming to a grocery store near you. The government held a networking event on Wednesday to connect Lithuanian food companies with distributors in Taiwan.
During the one-day event, Taiwan distributors met virtually with Lithuanian producers. Over recent weeks, China has hit Lithuania with trade sanctions in retribution for the Baltic states' support of Taiwan.
For a country that has been so nice to us, a country with which we have such friendly and meaningful relations, promoting their amazing agricultural products is the least we can do.
To properly attack the Lithuanian economy, the CCP decided to target some of Lithuania's closest friends in the EU. While Lithuania doesn't export much to China, Sweden, France, and Germany certainly do. And they also rely on components made from Lithuanian suppliers. China threatened to use corrosive measures against any European company that used Lithuanian suppliers. While the EU may be a dysfunctional family, they are still a family. The Western European nations refused to give in to Beijing's demands. Lithuania would not be sacrificed at the altar of Chinese appeasement. A dispute was launched in the World Trade Organization, and the EU made it clear that economic threats against one of its members would be viewed as a threat against all members. And the EU was not alone in rallying around Lithuania. The United States offered a special credit finance line Taiwan launched a $200 million investment fund, and Australia is very vocal about their solidarity with Lithuania. While Little Lithuania shored up Allied support against the CCP, the Chinese have a much larger foe just across the Himalayas, one which is powerful enough to act alone. Click on the video card to watch the next segment in this series. If the video card isn't there, then become a patron to see it as soon as it's completed, all without ads.